The jungle was quiet, but Daniel could hear the buzz of distant creatures. He stood near a metal panel, holding a tool in one hand and a small data pad in the other. He was fixing a relay system that had broken during the shuttle's landing. The thick green leaves and strange glowing vines made the place feel alive. It was his third day on this planet, and so far, things had been peaceful. As he adjusted the wiring, his hand slipped. A sharp edge on the metal cut his palm. It wasn't deep, just enough to sting. Red blood dripped from his hand and hit the moss-covered ground. Daniel winced, shook his hand, and pulled out a small claw from his pack to wrap it. Just a little cut, he whispered. Then he heard something. A soft sound like someone breathing gently came from behind the tall trees. He turned around, expecting to see another member of his crew. Instead, someone stepped out from the shadows. She was tall, elegant, and unlike any creature Daniel had seen. Her skin shimmered like silver under the sun, and her golden eyes locked onto his. Her dark blue hair flowed behind her like a river. Her clothes were smooth and flowing, with colors that shifted like water. She didn't look angry. She didn't look scared. She walked slowly toward him. Daniel took a cautious step back. "I don't want any trouble," he said, holding up his hands. She didn't respond. Instead, she stopped in front of him. Very close, too close. She looked at his wrapped hand, her head tilted slightly, and she leaned forward. She sniffed once. Then she whispered, "You smell like our God King." Daniel blinked. What? Before he could say more, others arrived. For more of her kind stepped into the clearing. They moved quietly, almost like they floated. None of them held weapons. Their eyes were wide, and they stared at Daniel with a mix of shock and something else like respect. One of them knelt on the ground and touched the blood stain on the moss. He brought his fingers to his nose and sniffed the scent. He said, "It's true." Daniel took another step back. "Okay, hold on. I think there's a misunderstanding." The woman who first found him spoke again, this time louder. "You must come with us." "I don't think that's a good idea," Daniel replied. But before he could walk away, the group around him bowed, not just to him but deeply, with hands across their hearts. One of them said, "We will not harm you, but you must return to the city. The elders must see you." Daniel touched his earpiece. "Team, you there? I think I need some backup." No answer. Static. He looked at the alien woman again. Her face was calm, her eyes filled with wonder. She reached out her hand. Daniel hesitated, then slowly took it. The moment their hands touched, her eyes glowed brighter. She whispered something in her own language, and the others nodded. Together, they walked out of the jungle. As they moved, Daniel noticed that the plants seemed to lean toward him. Animals peeked from the trees but didn't flee. It was as if the entire forest was watching. After a short walk, they reached a smooth white craft hidden among the trees. It didn't look like a normal ship. It was shaped like a giant leaf and made no sound as it lifted off the ground. Daniel sat in the middle, with the alien surrounding him. The woman sat close, never taking her eyes off him. He finally asked, "What's your name?" She smiled gently. "Shira." "Shira, you said I smell like your God King. What does that mean?" She looked thoughtful. "Long ago, our world was ruled by one who brought peace. He vanished. But the prophecy said he would return not as one of us, but with the same scent, the same blood." Daniel blinked. "Are you saying you think I'm your God King?" Shira shook her head. "Not you, but your blood. It carries something ancient, something we lost." Daniel leaned back in his seat, hands still wrapped, mind spinning. He had come to fix a power relay. Now he was being taken to an alien city, possibly mistaken for someone holy. He sighed. "This is not what I signed up for." But deep down, something in him whispered, maybe it was. The alien ship flew silently through the sky. Its surface shimmered like glass, but inside, it was calm and quiet. Daniel sat near a window, watching the jungle below disappear as they rose higher. Shira sat beside him. Her golden eyes kept glancing at him with curiosity, as if she still couldn't believe he was real. Daniel leaned back in his seat. His hand still stung from the cut. now cleaned and wrapped properly by Shira's people, he had expected to fix. A broken relay today, not be carried away like some ancient figure from a storybook. Where are we going exactly? He asked. Shira turned to him and spoke gently. The capital city. Our High Council waits there. They must see you. See me do what? Daniel raised an eyebrow. I'm not a leader. I'm just a systems engineer. You carry the scent of the God King. Your presence alone has awakened old signals in the jungle. You must understand this is not normal. Daniel sighed. Nothing has been normal since I got here. Soon, the clouds parted, and below them was a massive floating city. It looked like a giant lotus flower resting above a calm lake. Towers curved upward like petals, and long bridges stretched across the air. Glowing lights moved through the streets without noise. The ship landed on a wide platform that opened like a blooming flower. As Daniel stepped off, crowds were already waiting. Thousands of aliens stood in silence, their heads bowed. He felt their eyes on him, full of wonder and awe. It made him nervous. Shira led him through the crowd. No one spoke, but many reached out to touch the air near him, as if hoping to feel something special. Daniel kept his head down, unsure what to say. They entered a tall, round building at the center of the city. Inside was cool and bright. Soft lights floated in the air. The High Council waited in a circle, each member dressed in rich colors. Some had gray skin, others pale gold, showing the different clans of their kind. An elder with a staff stepped forward. His voice was slow and deep. We welcome the one who smells of the God King. Daniel held up his hands. Look, I think there's been a mistake. I'm human. I'm not your God King. The council members looked at each other. Then the elder spoke again. We do not say you are him, but your blood carries a match, one we thought lost. Shira stepped beside him. He touched the ancient panel in the forest. It opened. This caused quiet murmurs. The elder nodded. Then we must test again. Follow me. They led Daniel down a wide hallway to a sealed door. Carvings of stars and planets covered the walls. The elder touched a small crystal near the door. It hummed. The door opened with a soft sigh. Inside was a circular chamber. At the center stood a tall pillar of silver metal. The elder motioned Daniel forward. Place your hand here. Daniel stepped forward slowly. He looked at Shira. She nodded. He placed his uninjured hand on the surface. The room reacted instantly. Lights flickered along the walls. Soft music echoed from unseen speakers. The pillar glowed with a blue light, and a symbol appeared on it, a circle with a line through it. The council gasped. Daniel pulled back. What just happened? The elder looked amazed. This place has been silent for 1,000 years. Only the God King could awaken it. Daniel shook his head. But I'm not him. No, the elder said. But your blood may be part of something older than even we remember. They brought him back to the main hall. A healer scanned his blood and showed the results on a floating screen. It displayed strange shapes and ancient code, symbols from the past. One matched the records of the God King's genetic signature, 95% similar. Daniel stared at the screen. So, what does this mean? Shira looked at him, her voice soft. It means you are not just a visitor. You are part of our history, maybe even our future. Outside, the sky began to glow with evening light. The city lights shimmered across the floating platforms. Daniel stood quietly on a balcony, watching the stars rise. His crew still hadn't answered his calls. He didn't know what was happening back at the human camp. But one thing was clear: these people believed in something bigger than him, something connected to his blood, to Earth, to something ancient. And somehow, he was now part of it. The next morning, Daniel woke up in a soft room filled with pale light. Outside the window, he could see the floating city slowly coming to life. Strange ships moved silently through the sky. Alien voices hummed faintly in the halls. He sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his hand where the cut still stung a little. The events of the last day felt like a dream. He was a human, yet the aliens treated him like someone very important. Shira entered the room quietly, holding a small tray with food. Her golden eyes were calm but curious. Good morning, she said softly. Morning, Daniel replied. Thank you for everything, she smiled. You are still new here. Many questions? Daniel nodded. Yes. I want to understand. Who was this God King? Why does my blood match his? How is this possible? Shira sat beside him. Our legends say the God King was a leader who united all clans of our species. Long ago, he brought peace, knowledge, and new technology, but one day he vanished. Some say he left to another world. In the prophecy, Daniel asked, it says the God King will return, Shira explained, not as one of us, but with the same blood. A new body to carry his spirit. Daniel laughed softly. That sounds like a story. But I'm not your God King. Maybe, Shira said. But your blood tells a different story. We found traces of something in your genes, something ancient. It matches the old records kept by our scientists. Daniel looked thoughtful. Do you think humans and or people have a shared past? Some believe it, Shira said. The ruins we found on our world have symbols very similar to those in your Earth history. Some think there was once a great connection between our worlds. Daniel stood and walked to the window. This changes everything. Later, he was taken to a grand hall filled with holographic maps and data screens. Scientists and elders gathered around him, showing results from many tests. Your DNA is a puzzle, said one scientist, pointing to a complex diagram. We detect human sequences mixed with unknown markers. It is possible your ancestors met ours long ago. Daniel frowned. But how? Earth and your planet are so far apart. Space travel is possible, the elders said. In the distant past, many civilizations spread across stars. Some left clues for those who came after. The room fell silent. Daniel felt the weight of their words. If true, then humans were not alone in the galaxy's story. As the days passed, Daniel learned more about the alien culture. They valued peace, knowledge, and respect for life. Their technology was advanced but blended with nature. Cities floated gently, powered by clean energy. Weapons were rare, used only when absolutely necessary. Shira became his guide and friend. She showed him gardens with glowing flowers and libraries filled with ancient texts. Sometimes they sat quietly, sharing stories from their worlds. One afternoon, while exploring the city's archives, Daniel found drawings of a figure with human-like hands and features labeled as the God King. He looks like me, Daniel said, pointing. Shira nodded. Our ancestors may have met your people long ago. Some legends say the God King was born of both worlds. Daniel felt a chill. Could it be true? But not everyone welcomed this idea. One day, a group of armored aliens arrived. Their leader was tall and stern, with cold eyes. He introduced himself as General Vark. This nonsense about the God King is dangerous, Vark said. We cannot trust a human pretending to be our savior. Daniel stayed calm. I'm not pretending. I want to help, but I'm not a god. Vark sneered. We don't need gods. We need strong leaders who protect our people. Vark soldiers spread whispers among the city. Some began to doubt Daniel. They saw him as an outsider who threatened their way of life. Shira stood beside Daniel. Don't listen to them. He is not a god, but he brings hope. Daniel realized he was now part of something bigger, a test of trust between two worlds. That night, he looked at the stars from the city's highest tower. He thought of his home, his crew, and the strange journey that had brought him here. Was he truly connected to this alien race, or was it all a mistake? He did not know. But one thing was certain. He would not run away. He would face the future, whatever it held, with courage. The ancient ruins stood tall on the edge of the city. Vines curled around broken stone pillars, and soft light filtered through cracks in the ceiling. Daniel and Shira walked carefully along the worn paths. The air smelled of earth and history. These ruins are very old, Shira said quietly. They were built by the God King's people long ago. No one has entered the deepest chambers in centuries. Daniel looked at the carvings on the walls. Strange symbols and shapes told stories of battles, peace, and great journeys through the stars. He felt a strange connection to the place, as if it was calling to him. Why do you think only the God King could enter the chambers? Daniel asked. The machines inside respond only to those with the right blood, Shira explained. They can open doors, activate defenses, and share knowledge. Many have tried, but only one with the God King's scent can use them. Daniel's hand itched where he had been cut, and he remembered how the ancient panel in the jungle had opened for him. Maybe this was similar. They reached a heavy stone door, covered in metal plates and glowing lines. Shira stepped back and whispered, "Try placing your hand here." Daniel hesitated, then pressed his hand to a smooth circle in the center. The door hummed and slowly began to slide open, revealing a dark chamber filled with strange machines inside. Glowing symbols floated in the air. Screens showed star maps, energy readings, and alien writings. A soft voice spoke from the walls in a language Daniel could not understand. Shira smiled. "The God King's legacy lives here. You have awakened." As Daniel moved through the room, the machines reacted to him. Lights changed color, panels opened, and a holographic figure appeared, a tall man with human features, wearing shining armor. "This is the God King," Shira said. "Our ancestors believed he was part human and part alien, a bridge between worlds." Daniel stared at the figure. "This looks like a legend, but it feels real." "It is real," Shira said, "and you carry the same blood." Daniel spent hours exploring the chamber. The machines shared information about the past, a history of war, peace, and a secret alliance between humans and aliens long ago. He learned that the God King had helped both worlds survive a terrible enemy, but after the war, he disappeared, leaving clues for future generations. "Why hide all this?" Daniel asked. "To protect it," Shira replied, "and to wait for the right time." Outside the ruins, trouble was growing. General Vark and his followers were spreading fear among the people. They said Daniel was a trick, a danger to the city's safety. One evening, Vark confronted Daniel in the council hall. "Your tricks will not work here, human," Vark said. "We must protect our people from lies." Daniel looked at Vark calmly. "I'm not here to trick anyone. I want to help bring peace and understanding." "Peace?" Vark sneered. "You are a stranger. How can you understand our ways?" Shira stepped forward. "He has already helped us unlock ancient knowledge. That is proof." Vark's eyes narrowed. "Helped or taken power? We will see." The council was divided. Some supported Daniel. Others feared him. Daniel knew he needed to prove himself. He asked Shira, "What can I do?" She smiled softly. "Follow me." She led him to a secret laboratory. There, they found a broken energy reactor, the heart of the city's power. It had been damaged in a recent attack, possibly sabotaged by Vark's followers. Without power, the city would fall into darkness and chaos. Daniel studied the reactor. It was unlike any technology he had seen, but some parts reminded him of Earth. Machines. With Shira's help, he began repairs. Days passed. The work was difficult. Parts had to be cleaned, circuits reconnected, and power calibrated. Sometimes the reactor pulsed dangerously, forcing them to stop and rethink. During the repairs, Daniel and Shira grew closer. They shared stories of their worlds and hopes for the future. Finally, the moment came. Daniel flipped a switch, and the reactor hummed to life. Soft lights spread through the city. Machines whirred. The floating platforms stabilized. People cheered. As power returned. VARK single quotes as supporters fell silent. Daniel stood beside Shira on a balcony, looking out at the glowing city. "This is just the beginning," Shira said. Daniel nodded. "We have much work ahead, but together we can build something new." As the stars shone above, Daniel realized that his journey was no longer just about survival. It was about hope, trust, and a future where two worlds could become one. The city was alive again. Lights shone in every corner, and soft music filled the air. People smiled and moved freely, thanks to Daniel's work on the reactor. The city had power once more. But peace did not last. General Vark's anger grew. He gathered his followers in secret. Their voices were low, but filled with hate. "Daniel is not one of us," Vark said. "He is an outsider who fools the people. We must stop him before he takes everything." His followers nodded. They began planning an attack on the council to take control. Daniel sensed the tension. One evening, while walking with Shira in the city's gardens, he said, Something is wrong. I feel it. Shira held his hand gently. Vark grows dangerous. He believes. Only strength rules. Daniel frowned. I do not want violence. Can we stop this without blood? Shira looked sad. I hope so. The next day, Daniel met with the council. He asked for a peaceful solution. Let us hold a public debate, he said. Let the people decide. Some elders agreed. But Vark refused. Debate will only waste time. Strength will decide. Days passed, and the city prepared for the debate. The public gathered in the Great Hall. Aliens from every clan came to watch. Daniel stood before them, calm but ready. Vark entered with a cold glare. The debate began. Vark spoke first. This human is a stranger. His blood does not make him our leader. We must protect our people from lies. Daniel listened, then replied, I do not claim to be a god. I am just a man. But I have worked to help this city. I want peace and unity. Shira stood behind him, supporting his word. The crowd murmured. Some cheered, others stayed quiet. Then Vark challenged Daniel. If you are truly here to help, prove it. Show us your strength. Daniel nodded. Strength is not only in battle. It is in wisdom and kindness. He told the story of the reactor, how he fixed it with care, not force. Many in the crowd began to believe him. But Vark was not done. He announced a challenge, an ancient test of leadership. The challenger must enter the sacred arena and face trials too. Prove their worth. Daniel agreed. The arena was a large dome surrounded by cheering spectators. Inside were puzzles, tests of skill, and trials of courage. Daniel faced each challenge with focus. He solved puzzles with logic, navigated traps with care, and helped those in need along the way. Shira watched nervously from the crowd. Finally, Daniel reached the last trial, a deep chasm with a narrow bridge. Vark's followers hoped he would fail. Daniel took a deep breath and crossed the bridge slowly. Halfway, the bridge shook and swayed. He didn't panic. He kept steady and reached the other side. The crowd erupted in cheers. Daniel bowed to the people. Vark's supporters fell silent. The council declared Daniel the winner. His actions showed true leadership. Vark was forced to accept defeat, but he warned, this is not the end. Later, Daniel and Shira spoke privately. You were brave. She said, you earned their trust. Daniel smiled. But I still worry about Vark. He won't give up easily. Shira nodded. We must stay united. That night, Daniel looked at the stars again. He thought of Earth and the journey ahead. He knew this was only the beginning of a new chapter for him, for Shira, and for the alien world that now believed and hoped. The city was calm in the early morning light. Daniel stood on the balcony of the council hall, watching the floating platforms and glowing towers. Shira joined him quietly. General Vark is planning something, Shira said. Her voice soft but serious. Daniel turned. What do you mean? He gathered his loyal soldiers. They want to take control by force. Daniel's eyes narrowed. We cannot let that happen. Violence will only bring pain. Shira nodded. We need a plan. But we must be careful. Later that day, Daniel met with the council. The elders agreed the threat was real. They decided to prepare defenses, but hoped for peace. Daniel took Shira aside. We must find a way to stop Vark without fighting. Shira looked hopeful. There's a place where we can find answers, the old archives beneath the city. Together, they went to the hidden archives. The room was filled with ancient books, holograms, and data crystals. Dusty light filled the space. Maybe we can find a way to protect the city, Daniel said. Shira pulled out a glowing crystal. This tells of a shield system. It can protect the city from attacks. Daniel studied the diagrams. It needs power and someone to control it. You may be the key, Shira said. Only someone with your blood can activate it. Daniel took a deep breath. Then we must act fast. Back in the city, Vark's forces grew bolder. They moved through the streets, spreading fear. Some citizens began to doubt the council's power. One evening, an alarm sounded. Vark's soldiers attacked the city gates. Daniel and Shira rushed to the command center. The council prepared to defend the city, but they were outnumbered. Daniel took control of the shield system. He placed his hand on the activation panel. The city shook as a dome of light spread over the floating platforms. The shield blocked the enemy's weapons. Vark's soldiers were stopped. The people cheered. But Vark was angry. He retreated for now, but promised to return stronger. Daniel looked at Shira. This fight is not over. She smiled bravely. We stand together. Over the next days, Daniel trained with the city's defenders. He learned their ways and taught some human tactics. Shira stayed by his side, sharing stories of courage and hope. One night, as they watched the stars, Daniel said, "I miss Earth." Shira nodded. "But you are part of this world now." Daniel smiled softly. "Maybe I belong to both." As the city rested under the shield's glow, Daniel knew the real battle was ahead, not just for power, but for peace. He was ready. The city was quiet under the soft light of dawn. Daniel stood at the highest tower, looking out over the glowing platforms and peaceful waters below. The shield still hummed gently, protecting the city from harm. Shira joined him, her golden eyes calm and warm. "Today is the day," she said softly. "Vark has gathered his forces for one last attempt." Daniel nodded. "We have prepared. Now we must face him." Soon, the air filled with the sound of engines and marching footsteps. Vark's soldiers approached the city, determined and fierce. But this time, Daniel was ready. He stood before the council and the people. "We will not fight with anger," he said. "Our strength is in unity and hope." The defenders took their places. The shield was at full power. The city's people gathered to watch. Vark single quotes S forces charged, but the shield held strong. Weapons bounced harmlessly off the glowing dome. Vark himself appeared on a hover platform. Shouting orders, he called out to Daniel, "Give up now, human. You cannot win." Daniel raised his voice. "This city belongs to all who protect it, not to those who seek power through fear." Vark sneered and launched an attack on the shield's control center. The lights flickered. Alarms sounded. Daniel rushed to the control room with Shira and the council's guards. "We must keep the shield stable," Daniel said. "I will connect directly." He placed his hand on the control panel. The shield pulsed under his touch, glowing brighter. Vark single quotes as soldiers tried to break through. But the shield pushed back stronger than before. Outside, the people cheered for Daniel and Shira. Hope filled the air. Inside the city, Vark realized he was losing. His forces began to fall back. "This is not over," he shouted, retreating into the shadows. The city was safe. Daniel turned to the council. "We have won, but peace requires more than battles." The elders nodded. They agreed to open talks with all clans, including those loyal to Vark. Shira smiled. "You have brought more than power. You have brought trust." Daniel looked at her. "I'm not a god. I'm just a man who wants to help." Together, they worked to heal the city's wounds. Old enemies became allies. New friendships formed. Daniel's crew finally arrived in orbit. They watched as their friend stood among the aliens, a symbol of hope and unity. He knew he could return to Earth any time, but he chose to stay because here he was part of something greater. A new chapter was beginning, a story of two worlds, joined by blood, courage, and dreams. Daniel smiled as Shira took his hand. "This is only the beginning," she whispered, and he believed her.